I was murdered by my friends on a trip we took to Mexico. They left me there and told my family that I had alcohol poisoning. Ain't that some s***? It was supposed to be a fun vacation, but it turned into a nightmare that I can't wake up from. Literally. I am Shankella Robinson. I was found dead in a hotel room in Cabo San Lucas. My so-called friends told my parents I died from alcohol poisoning, but my autopsy showed I suffered a broken neck and other traumatic injuries. Then a video went viral showing me being punched and kicked by another woman, while a man stood nearby and did nothing to help me. My family has been fighting for justice ever since. They have been waiting for answers, for someone to be held accountable for what happened to me. But it feels like no one is listening. The FBI and federal prosecutors announced that they won't be pursuing criminal charges, despite the evidence that has been presented. It's hard to accept that the people responsible for my alleged murder may never be brought to justice. To make matters worse, a new report from Mexican police contradicted the initial autopsy, suggesting that I may have been alive for several hours before authorities arrived and pronounced me dead. I hope that someday, justice will be served and my family can find peace. But for now, they are left with dashed hopes and a sense of injustice that is hard to bear.
Doctors working midnight shift get horrified after they capture the unexpected on the abandoned floor.
Ow! Lights are. Go in. Go in. Go in. Figure out where the lights are. I don't like that. I don't like that. Do it.
They look like evil eyes. You guys gonna come in with me?
Yeah, of course we're gonna go in with you.
Thanks. Ooh, it feels great. Is that you? Yeah. That's where it feels so good. The curtain moved. Yeah, it did. It moved. It moved. It moved. Yes, it did. It did. How do you not see that? Oh, okay.
I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
Mr. O'Neill,
All right.
Listen, stop.
All right.
Listen to me.
I'm not
You're not going to raise your voice again.
I'm
You're
not going to
gonna
raise my
your
voice again. I'm not.
I will have you removed from this courtroom. I can sentence you without you being present.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't conduct
I
yourself.
understand, Your Honor.
Thank you.
But I will say, I'm sorry for your loss.
19 years I've been at this job. I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. You name it, I've seen it. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars, some DUI manslaughter cases, horrible things. This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go. When the person from fire department, when he testified, and when he said that he retrieved the body of Ronivia O'Neill from the home, and all he could do was sob. It took every ounce I had not to start sobbing too. Because there is no way any person with any feeling could have witnessed or seen the photos of what occurred that night and not be haunted for the rest of your life. I know I will be. For the rest of my life, I'll be haunted by what I saw as far as the evidence and just the abject cruelty of it all. The abject cruelty. And I was aware, because I reviewed a lot of the discovery ahead of time, as you well know, did a lot of in-camera inspection of a lot of documents. And I was aware there was some evidence, at least, that when you needed to recover from your gunshot wound, that neither your parents nor your Aisha, Miss Robinson, would let you come recover at their home. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm not going to get into a dispute. I'm just mentioning there was some evidence referencing that in the records. And all I could think about, because I knew that Miss Barron was not with you romantically at the time, and I knew that she just out of the goodness of her heart let you come stay with her. And it is beyond tragic that that critical decision ended in so much horror for her and for her children. It is unspeakably cruel what happened as a result of that one decision. The way that Ms. Barron died was horrific, and that 911 call, which captured truly all of it. You heard, and everyone who's heard that 911 call heard a death scream. If anybody ever wants to know what it sounds like before a human being dies, knowing that their death is imminent, that's exactly what it is. That was a death scream.
We're going to see if it's true.
But what happened to little Ranivia and to little Ronnie, but I'm going to focus on Ranivia, because she was special. And you can tell Miss Barron had done everything she could to create a beautiful home for her family. I noticed that the Ranivia's bedroom, before you set it on fire, you could tell she tried so hard to make her feel like a princess. Kenyatta did everything she could. And I noticed too in the kitchen, on the refrigerator, she put up magnets that said faith, love, family, hope. And then you know what else happened to that refrigerator during that night? It got splattered with blood all over it due to what happened. Little Ranivia, she couldn't scream, she couldn't run away, and she witnessed what you did to her mother as far as shooting her mother in the arm with the gunshot. She knew. And the horror that that child suffered. And she already had a life where she was born with challenges regarding her physical and her mental disabilities. But the pain and suffering that she suffered that night at your hands, unspeakable, absolutely unspeakable. And at the moment, that first time you struck her with that hatchet, and little Ronnie testified that all he could see was tears coming out of his sister's face. At that moment, that child knew. She knew she was being betrayed in the cruelest, most tragic and sorrowful way that a child could ever be betrayed. She was being betrayed by her parent, the one person that should be there to protect their children and love them and keep them from harm. And that was the last thing that child felt before she passed on from this earth, was your utter, cruel betrayal to her.
Place the drawer, pull the drawer out, put it in the bag.
Yeah, you just want the whole lot done.
I'll have the whole lot. Yep. I'll have that one as well.
If I'm honest, I don't think anyone could have predicted what we were going to find when we searched his house.
Are they ones he's taken?
Well, why does that person look dead?
7 children were just found in this house living in some of the worst living conditions I've ever heard of. The kids ranged from ages 16 all the way down to 4. One of the girls even said that she was sleeping with rats. They were living in feces. And then some more animals like snakes, dogs, all kinds of things were found like in cages in the house. And along with that, CYS also found a few kids hidden in a back bedroom. And the refrigerator was kept padlocked shut so that nobody could get in and eat any of the food, any of the kids that is, because the parents said they were stealing food. The parents, Shane and Crystal Robertson, are being charged with 7 counts of child endangerment. It's also important to mention that none of these kids had any record of formal education. A lot of them lacked basic knowledge, and a lot of them didn't even know what their own birthday was, which means that these parents were keeping these kids pretty much in the dark about everything. All of the kids were taken to the hospital. Some of them actually had to have their heads shaved because their hair was so matted. And right now they are all in protective custody.
Tell me y'all have seen the news articles regarding Cameron Robbins, who jumped off a boat in the Bahamas. This kid is 18 years old and supposedly jumped off a boat because of a dare, and we have video footage of it. Lots of people are claiming that there's a shark in the water. Y'all can tell me what you think.
Fucking jumped off! Oh my fucking god! Oh, bye-bye! Oh, yeah! That's Yo, this kid's fucking gone.
He literally disappears before their eyes. That is so scary. Shout out to Stonks Up on Twitter, who enhanced the video and slowed it down. Y'all, you gotta watch.
Fucking jumped off! Oh my fuck!
People are saying that he was likely swimming towards the buoy, saw the shark, and decided to swim the opposite way. You might be wondering, how could he have seen the shark? It's obviously really, really dark. Well, that ship likely had a lot of lights that would have been reflecting off the water. Also, there is this misconception that sharks are, these super aggressive and man-eating like creatures, and that's just not true. However, someone on Twitter made a really valid point, saying that in areas of a lot of tourism, like the Bahamas where they were at, it's common for sharks and other fish to just swim around, the general area, because people throw lots of food into the water expecting fish to come up. So if there were sharks around, it wouldn't have been uncommon. They might have been waiting for something to fall into the water. Cameron was an athlete and he was a super strong swimmer. And this is just super, super heartbreaking. I mean, I can't get over the fact that he literally disappears before their eyes and they never see him again. Bahamas police and the U.S. Coast Guard were searching for Cameron from the night he jumped off the ship on Wednesday until Friday, and then they decided to stop the search. Of course, this is super heartbreaking. Let me know what y'all think, because I was kind of not giving credibility to the fact that there may have been a shark in that water. However, you can't sort of deny how it's sort of moving in the water. And then also it makes you wonder, why else would he have swam in the opposite direction of the buoy?
What's your emergency? I've just been shot. What? Who? I've just been shot. Where are you at? Okay, how did you get shot? Who shot you? My grandma shot me. Your grandma and grandpa shot you? My grandma. I'm gonna die. No. Okay, we're gonna stay on the phone with me, okay, sir? I'm gonna get help on the way. I'm gonna get help on the way, okay? Where were you shot at? Where are you shot? Your chest? Okay, who? Are your grandparents still there? No. Where did they go? I don't know. You don't know where they went? They shot you though, right? Okay, stay on the phone, okay? Okay, I know we got help on the way. I promise you that, okay? You said it's in your chest? Yes. Okay, did you get some kind of, can you walk, or are you sitting? I'm sitting. Okay, I don't want you to move. Okay, just keep on breathing. Okay, and it just happened? Are you there? Keep talking to me. Keep talking to me. Are you there? No. Can you keep talking? Can you keep talking to me? Are you there, sir? 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 Hello? Sir? Did you just call Fatima? I got shot again. Oh, you got shot again? Are they still there? I'm putting shot. My stomach is open. Ow, ow. Oh, yes. Please help. Oh. I just walked off. Dad?
His grandmother, Sandra Lane, pleaded not guilty in court. She claimed that she was acting out in self-defense because she found out Hoffman was under the influence of synthetic marijuana and had read about the way people behaved while on it. Police reports claim that Lane walked out of the house with her hands up as soon as the police arrived and said, "I murdered my grandson."
On January 12, 2010, 37-year-old Lloyd Skinner was swimming at Fishhook Beach off the coast of Cape Town, South Africa. He was about 100 meters or 330 feet from shore in about chest to neck deep water, and there were about 30 people swimming near him, although he was 10 to 15, so maybe up to about 50 feet deeper and away from the next closest person to him. At 1:40 in the afternoon, he stood up straight in the water to adjust his swimming goggles, and when he did this, onlookers from the beach could see something that neither Lloyd nor any of the other swimmers could see from their vantage point in the water. A woman named Kathy Geldenhues was sitting on a bench on the beach with her husband, and she was looking directly at Lloyd when this happened. She was looking at Lloyd specifically because her husband had just brought her attention to Lloyd and had said to her, kind of criticizing Lloyd for being out by himself further than anybody else. He said to her, you know, what if he gets attacked by a shark out there all alone? And no sooner had he said this when this huge shadow appeared under the water, speeding at Lloyd. And just moments later, that huge shadow would impact Lloyd. The people on the beach then saw this huge, massive head and fin of this 5-meter long or 16-foot long great white shark come up out of the water, grab Lloyd. Kathy said Lloyd's arm went up in the air before the shark slammed him down underneath the water. It apparently let him go just seconds later because Lloyd surfaced in a pool of his own blood. He's still conscious and he's waving his arms, but much to the horror of all the bystanders, this huge shark, they see its fin just do a quick 360 and it comes back just seconds later and grabs Lloyd for a second time. This time it's got his full torso inside of its mouth and it just again slams him down beneath the waves. Now, people in the water swimming next to Lloyd, they don't know what's happening. One of them, whose name was Kyle, again, he's like 15 meters away. He sees all these people on the beach frantically screaming and waving towels, trying to get the attention of all the swimmers. And he's looking around for the source of this commotion. He turns around, he sees this huge pool of blood in the water, and then he sees this massive fin cutting through the water, and like 2 meters out in front of this fin, in other words, where the shark's mouth is, there is just a bare human leg sticking up out of the water, being pushed through the water. In other words, the shark still has Lloyd in its mouth, and Lloyd's upside down, and it's just dragging him out to sea. Eventually, the leg and the fin go subsurface, and nobody ever sees Lloyd again. Boats and helicopters would go out looking for remains. The only thing they would ever find was his pair of goggles. They assumed the shark consumed him completely. Many people who saw this attack had to get therapy, including his girlfriend Deborah, who watched the attack from the beach. On June 10th, 2022, a 70-year-old woman named Maya was collecting water just outside of her village of Rapal, which is in India. As she was doing this, from the forest just beyond her came walking out a small herd of Indian elephants. Now, normally elephants are pretty peaceful creatures, but according to bystanders, that was not the case on this day. The lead elephant, a bull, just immediately made it out for Maya, and without any provocation, it charged at her, knocked her to the ground, and just began viciously trampling her. Now, the villagers who are watching this, they're screaming and yelling, trying to get the elephant to leave her alone, but this does nothing to deter it, and there's not much else they can do. It's an elephant, so you're not really going to fight it away. So they're just forced to watch as this thing stomps her into the ground. Now, eventually, when she's lying there lifeless, the elephant does retreat and the whole little herd goes walking back into the forest, at which point the villagers are able to go get her, they gather her up, and they rush her as fast as they can to the nearest hospital. But sadly, by the time they got there, she was pronounced deceased. So her family and the rest of the villagers, just totally heartbroken and shocked by what's just happened, they collect her body and they bring it back to their village. It is their practice that they do a funeral and a cremation on the same day. So they create this wooden funeral pyre, they put Maya's body up on top of it, and then loved ones and, village members are coming by and giving their last respects during her funeral ceremony that evening. And as they're doing this, from the forest comes this same herd of Indian elephants. And that same bull elephant comes charging at the funeral pyre. So everybody's scattering. People are yelling and screaming. A few of the elephants kind of chase some of the people away from the pyre, but they don't really go after them. Nobody else was hurt. But this same bull elephant goes up to the pyre. It takes its trunk and grabs Maya's body, lifts it in the air, and throws it. And when her body hits the ground, this bull elephant runs over to her body and begins trampling it again. At which point, witnesses said, the elephant lets out a loud bellow and then goes running over to Maya's house. It was able to identify which house she lived in somehow. And it completely destroys it. It collapses the roof, bashes in the walls. There was some goats in an enclosure that she had. It trampled those goats to death, and the other elephants are participating in this as well. 3 other houses were damaged, but not totally destroyed. After Maya's house was completely destroyed, that bull elephant went back over to her body one final time, trampled it one final time, and then the whole herd just went back into the forest. I don't know what Maya did to that elephant, or if anything, but for some reason, that bull elephant really had it out for Maya. Some people speculate she was part of a poaching group that killed one of its babies, but there's really no evidence to suggest that's true.
Well, tonight, a suspected serial killer from Central Texas is now off the streets. Police say Raul Mesa confessed to 5 murders and allegedly told officers he was ready to kill again. He was arrested last week in Pflugerville, north of Austin. Investigators say that they're looking into his possible connection of up to 10 cold cases dating back to 1996. He is currently booked at the Travis County Jail.
You can't resist it, the city lights, I live for the moment, need you in my life, anything to feel alive, race through the back streets, gotta burn it up, just try and stop me, life is going right tonight, anything tonight, feel alive tonight, everything's gonna be alright.
What? What's wrong with you? What?
It took my daughter.
Hurt her?
Please.